Hey, love, and welcome. I'm Christina, founder of Conscious Vegan Kitchen, and I am so grateful you're here whenever, wherever you found this. This class was originally created as a live gathering on Earth Day. I had planned to be in community sharing stories from my Greek lineage, the wisdom of seasonal cooking, and a simple ancestral recipe. But life had other rhythms that day, so I chose to pause and listen and to reshape this experience into something softer, something you can now receive on your own time. And what you're watching today is that sacred offering, Reimagine. It's a class rooted in nourishment, in memory, in earth-based rhythm. I'll be guiding you through reflections on ancestral living, practical kitchen rituals, and a demo style recipe for my heritage. My hope is that this brings you closer to your food, your body, and the land beneath your feet. And so let's begin. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Christina Desis, founder of Conscious Vegan Kitchen. I'm a chef, facilitator, and storyteller, but more than that, I believe food is history, medicine, and connection. And that belief is ancestral. I'm the daughter of an immigrant mother who grew up in the mountainous heart of central Greece. My grandparents were farmers, and they knew the land, the seasons, the healing power of food long before it was called quote unquote wellness. And I grew up beside my grandmother, my yaya, watching her knead dough, stir stews, tell stories. And these stories were of survival, resilience, and it was her love woven into every single bite. And the kitchen was somewhere we ate, and it was where we remembered who we were. Each year, I return back to our family's village and I feel it. I feel the presence of my ancestors, the fields that were harvested, the wisdom alive in the soil that lives in me now. And today I'm really excited to share that with you. I wanted to show you these images that are really special to me, and this is where it all began. My yaya, she she never had a recipe book. That did not exist for her. I would call her on the phone and say, "Yaya, how do you make fasolada, which is our white bean lemon soup?" And she would say, "You need a little bit of this and you need a little bit of that." And I'm thinking, well, how much is that? A cup, a tablespoon, a this or that, right? But she taught through rhythm, she taught through repetition, and more importantly, it was through love. And when I cook today, I still hear her voice. Yeah, I feel her presence. And everything that I share with you, it's really a continuation of what she gave me and what those who came before her gave her. And so to set the tone, um, this webinar is here to carry the essence of remembering. It's an experience of coming home to how any of our ancestors cooked, ate, and healed, right? Back when food was not a complicated thing. It was really an offering. It was a way of life. And Greek cooking is intuitive. It follows the seasons. It embraces simplicity. It honors food as medicine. Today, food tends to be very trendy, right? And the thing is, it hasn't always been that way, right? Spring's bitter greens, they help cleanse the body, right? Winter broths and teas, they're there to build strength. Olive oil, herbs, fermented foods, um, might see these things as extras, but they were essential. And this is the wisdom we're reclaiming. food that nourishes the body and the spirit. So, in this webinar, I want to invite you to quiet the noise, yeah, of things like diets and trends. And I want you to just listen. Listen to your body, to the seasons, to the ancient knowing that already exists within you. So, before we continue, I wanted to offer you a quiet moment to reflect. What is one food you turn to when you're feeling under the weather? The dish that warms you, the maybe tea that you always make, the thing that you crave when your body needs a little extra love. Yeah. And you could pause the video here and write it down, or just let the memory rise in your mind. So, one of my clearest childhood memories is sitting in the country courtyard of our 200-year-old village home in Greece, snipping the ends off of fresh string beans with my yaya. And the sun was really warm. The air was filled with the scent of basil, and we were preparing the string beans for a dish called fasolaikia, which is a slow simmered stew. And this is a recipe that has been passed down for generations. And for us, food was care, it was tradition, it was medicine. When we were sick, we didn't run to the pharmacy, we went to the kitchen. Soup, mountain tea, lemon, and honey, herbs and meals that healed body and soul. And even mosquito bites, my yaya doused them in red wine vinegar. I smelled like salad, but it worked. And these memories remind me that food, it connects us, it heals us, grounds us into nature's rhythm. And although modern life has really distanced us from that wisdom, I know that it's still within us. So the idea of food as medicine, um, this goes back into ancient times. In Greece, it's baked into everyday life. Um, it's about balance and harmony, and of course, it's also about nutrition, right? Back then, my ancestors, they didn't have supplements. They didn't have packaged goods to just, run and go to, right? They ate with the land. So things like cooling foods in the summer, cucumber, watermelon, right, to soothe the heat, warm stews and bitter greens in the winter to strengthen immunity, right? The fermented foods for that gut health, olive oil for to put into our food, but also to put onto our skin. And this is our way to longevity, right? To have a body that is healthy and strong. And that is through living in sync with the seasons. Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, was Greek, and this wouldn't be a webinar about Greek ancestral cooking without Hippocrates' famous quote, "Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food," right? And what was his message? That message was, before we seek a quick fix, look to the plate. Nowadays, there's very trendy word of superfoods. And what that meant back then was just noticing how real foods were, right? Seasonal foods that supported healing. That's the heart of the Greek diet. It's simple, it's nourishing, it works with the body, it doesn't work against the body, right? Have you heard of the blue zones? And if you haven't, highly recommend checking out the research done by Dan Buettner, where he researched areas of the world where people live very long lives, right? One of those areas was Ikaria, and this is a Greek island, a place where people routinely live into their 90s and hundreds with vibrant health. Magic, maybe, but really it's just rooted in tradition. Their lifestyle is rooted in simplicity, connection, and rhythm. Their diet is local, it's seasonal, wild greens, legumes, fermented dairy, olive oil, nothing fancy, just real food, right? And you're not going to find gyms in this area. They're people that are moving naturally. They're outside, they're gardening, they're walking, they're cooking, they're gathering together, right? They're laughing, they're resting, they're living in community. And that's the real longevity diet, living in sync with nature and with each other. We're not meant to be alone. And the best part is that you don't need any sort of exotic ritual, right? These are just universal truths that we all can have access to, at least certain parts of them, right? No matter where we live. So one of the most intuitive ways to eat, something both Greek and Ayurvedic, the sister science to yoga, these traditions embrace seasonal eating. Our bodies shift with the seasons. You might have noticed. And in the winter, maybe you've noticed that you crave warmth or more grounding foods. So we're eating stews, root veggies, warm spices. In the summer, we need hydration, right? We want more lightness, so we turn to cooling foods, fresh herbs, citrus. Greek food, Greek cuisine has always followed the land, right? Ayurveda just gives it a language. And when we eat with the seasons, our bodies respond with balance, energy, and ease. So as we cook in this season, I invite you to ask, what season is your body in and what does it truly need? So, Ayurveda and Greek ancestral eating may come from different parts of the world, but at their core, at the very center of it all, they speak the same language, and that is one of deep connection to nature, to the body, and to the seasons. If you look at how our Greek ancestors ate, again, not trends, there weren't rigid rules. It was very, very instinctual, and it was about eating what the land provided at the right time of the year, about using foods that were very nourishing, and were medicinal. And Ayurveda does the same thing. It teaches that food is energy and life, and that different foods either ground us, cool us, or warm us, depending on what we need. So both traditions, they emphasize balance, right? Knowing when to lean into certain foods and when to pull back. So I emphasize like there isn't a right or wrong way of eating. I'm emphasizing intuition, remembering that we already have this wisdom within us because our ancestors, they lived by it. And the thing is that we can too if we tap into it. So Ayurveda offers the doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. These are our constitutions, what our body energy is made of, right? And ancient Greek medicine had what was called the four humors, right? Blood, phlegm, yellow bile, black bile. Different terms, same idea. We change with our environment internally, externally. And these systems help us understand why we feel energized in some seasons and then like really heavy in others, or why certain foods feel grounding, like a sweet potato, right? Root veggies, and why others too much, right? And the four humors may not be in use anymore, but when we view Ayurveda through the lens of ancestral Greek wisdom, it starts to feel familiar. So I created this little chart and just to show how these align, right? So when we look at Ayurveda, Vata, which is air and ether, these are the elements that it falls under. It would relate under the humors as blood. And so what we find is the qualities are dry, cold, erratic. When we're balanced, it brings creativity. When our body is out of balance, it brings anxiety and scattered energy. Pitta, the elements are fire and water. This would relate to the yellow bile. And so qualities would be hot, sharp, intense. And so in balance, we would find ourselves to be more focused. Our digestion would be better, right? Unbalanced, might feel more burnt out. There may be inflammation in our body. And then kapha is earth and water, and this would be phlegm. And this is where we feel really heavy, slow, or steady, right? Balance, we have more endurance. Unbalanced, may feel some stagnation or feel a bit more sluggish. And black bile is kind of in its own, but I'd say it could fall under kapha or phlegm. So let's explore how to support each dosha under Ayurveda, right? Vata, this is around the fall or early winter. So crisp, dry, unpredictable, right? We think about air, ether, right? So we need more warmth. We need some healthy fats, some grounding foods. And then we move into kapha, right? Late winter, um, early spring. It's heavy, it's damp, right? Those qualities are earth and water. So thinking about that, very earthy, right? So needs more lightness. We want the opposite, right? Needs lightness, more bitter foods for cleansing and movement, right? Feeling sluggish, we want the opposite. We want to move our body. And then pitta summer, right? Hot, intense, we want to start cooling down. We want hydrating foods and fresh foods, fresh herbs. So just, rhythmic here. When we align our meals with the seasons, we feel more balanced physically and then also emotionally. So each season naturally increases one dosha. By adjusting our meals, we can bring ourselves back to balance. So when we look at it through the lens of Greek ancestral eating, these are things that we can eat. So fall, early winter, again, that vata season, warm grounding meals, we can eat things like root veggies, olive oil, right? Slow cooked stews. And then we move into late winter, early spring, light detoxifying foods like wild greens, legumes, citrus. And then summer, our pitta season, cooling, hydrating foods like cucumber, fresh herbs, figs. And this is how our ancestors lived, listening to the land and adjusting with the seasons. So, how do we apply all this to what we actually eat? And the answer is small shifts. So, we're not applying rules, it's just applying awareness. And so, here's a simple guide to working with the seasons instead of against them. And for the sake of what season we're in right now, as I'm recording this, we're in spring. And so, what to avoid? We don't want heavy foods. We don't want foods that are really, really oily. And then we don't want fried foods and too much dairy. And for the sake of us being conscious vegan kitchen, I would avoid dairy altogether for the animals, for the planet, and for so many other reasons. And then what to eat? Wild greens like horta. These are wild dandelion greens or forage greens. Legumes like lentils and beans are great. Citrus to really brighten up our food. Herbal teas like sage and rosemary. And then cooking those foods, steaming is really nice, keeps things very light. And speaking of light, light soups. And then slow cook stews with a little bit of olive oil. We don't want to get too heavy with the olive oil during this time of year because remember, again, springtime, earth element, right? It's already very moist, very heavy. We want to keep things light. So this is how people ate before industrial food. It's how we're wired to eat, and it's already in our bones. So now let's look ahead. Which spring ingredients are you most looking forward to? Maybe it's fresh herbs, wild greens, lemon, or something that only shows up at this time of year. What is your body longing for as the seasons start to shift? Feel free to pause this and write this down, or if it just comes to your mind, whatever you like. We'll take a short pause here before we move forward. So, Greek food is filled with so much flavor, and lucky for us, it's also filled with lots and lots of nourishment, connection, seasonal wisdom that's been passed down from generations before. So, when we cook these ingredients, we're tapping into some really deep, deep ancestral knowledge. So let's take a closer look at a few of these healing foods. And so, number one, we start with olive oil, our Greek liquid gold. And Greeks do not hold back on olive oil, and there's good reason behind it. And so, number one, Um, it's rich in polyphenols, so it's reducing inflammation, supports the heart and brain, and it boosts nutrient absorption. So it's not just food. Um, as I mentioned before, we use it in our food, we use it on our skin. It's medicinal. It's a drizzle on lentils. I've seen yaya's grandmothers just take a spoonful straight up. It's our lifeblood. And then we move into number two, which is wild greens. This is our edible earth medicine. Foraging has been a ritual in Greece. My grandparents have done it, and my ancestors have done it before then. Dandelions, nettle, amaranth, they're rich in minerals and the bitter compounds that are going to support a detox and your liver health. So horta, those forage greens, that's your humble plate of greens, right? With lemon and olive oil, but it's also just this like beautiful prayer of gratitude to the land right there on your plate. It's such a beautiful thing. Legumes. Our ancient plant power. It's been around forever. Lentils, chickpeas, fava beans, black-eyed peas. Humble, yes, but powerful. And so these are rich in fiber. They're full of steady energy and they're deeply, deeply grounding. And so legumes are central to Greek cooking and our fasting traditions as well. They nourish the gut health. They're going to stabilize your blood sugar and they're going to connect you to the land's natural rhythms. So, a bowl of lentil soup or a creamy serving of fava is really flavorful, but it's going to bring you back to just this ancestral care in a bowl. And that's how accessible it could be. Number four are herbs and teas, and this is your plant wisdom in every sip. So, in every Greek kitchen, there are jars of dried herbs, and they are passed down, handpicked, deeply fragrant. You can walk into my kitchen right now. You will find jars of mountain tea, jars of oregano, bay leaves, you name it, straight from the mountains of where my family came from. And they're going to add flavor to the food, but I also know that they are medicine that when I add it to my food, it is going to boost my health. And so mountain tea, as I mentioned, this supports your immunity and your mental clarity. Oregano and sage, this aids digestion, respiratory health, chamomile and mint, that's going to calm the nervous system and gut. Saffron. This is a really beautiful, precious, and it's ancient. And this is going to nourish your mood and your beautiful heart. And these plants carry generations of wisdom in every cup. So if you're looking to bring this herbal healing into your kitchen, I have partnered with a Lefteria of Greek super herbs. Her teas are wild, beautiful, and gathered with really deep intention. You can find them through my website if you're curious. And then there's citrus fruits, bright, cleansing, vital. Um, Lemons are everywhere in Greek food for good reason. You can walk around certain areas of Greece and pick a lemon off of a tree. They're rich in vitamin C. They're going to help balance your body's pH and support immunity and brighten every dish physically and energetically. So just a squeeze of lemon over greens or lentils, it's it's like it's medicine from the sun. And then we have fermented foods, your gut healing staples. So yogurt, and you can access plant-based yogurts now. Almond, there's now coconut, cashew, you name it. And these are fermented. Pickled vegetables, olives, of course, vinegar. These foods are alive with probiotics that strengthen digestion, immunity, and even mood. So traditionally, fermentation, today you see it, it's a fad. But back then it was a way to really preserve abundance and support people's health through the seasons, especially when they didn't have a lot. So these foods connect us to the earth cycles and the wisdom of letting nature transform nutrition and nourishment over time. And then we have nuts and seeds, very small but mighty. And so walnuts, almonds, sesame, flax. These are tiny packages of dense nourishment. So, walnuts and flax, they're going to offer your brain a boost of omega-3s. Almonds and pistachios are going to balance your blood sugar and provide clean protein. Sesame, especially as tahini, this is rich in minerals and deeply grounding. So from a sweet pastelli to savory spreads, this has been around, Greek culture for centuries. And then last but not least, we have whole grains, and that's your slow energy. And so before processed carbs, there were ancient grains like barley, farro, bulgur, buckwheat. And these types of grains, they digest slowly, right? Fuel steadily. They're going to feed your gut microbiome. And they're also going to ground the body. So it's perfect for staying really rooted in the colder months. So a bowl of like barley soup, a slice of real sourdough bread, right? These are foods that are going to nourish you as they have been for many generations. So when we talk about healing food, we're really talking about remembering. And these ingredients are super healthy, but of course they're ancestral. And they're the same foods that our great grandparents grew, cooked, and passed down. So bringing them into your kitchen is an act of reconnection, even if you're not Greek, with the earth, your body, and your roots. So taking a breath and asking yourself, which of these healing foods are already a part of your life? And is there one you're curious to explore more deeply? So I'll ask again, which of these healing foods do you already include in your meals? Or are there ones that you are curious to explore? And so I'll take you to this next slide, and there's about 22 here, just to get some ideas from. Could pause the screen here, make some mental notes. Give you a moment. Okay, so let's build a healing meal the Greek way. Intuitive, seasonal, and supportive of body and spirit. So we start with a little bit of olive oil, right? The foundation, anti-inflammatory and heart healthy. We use it to cook, dress salads, or just drizzle it over roasted veggies. Depending on the season, don't be shy with it. It's our liquid gold. And then add wild greens. Think horta, right? Those forage greens. Dandelion, chicory, nettle, toss into salads, stews, or simply steam them with lemon and oil. They detoxify, they remineralize the body. And then our legumes, the lentils, the chickpeas, fava. These are your plant-based proteins and gut healers, so you can add them to soup, salads, or just enjoy them as a main. And embrace your herbs and teas. Use oregano, thyme, rosemary in cooking. Brew mountain tea for calm and clarity. Again, for beautiful wild forage Greek herbs, please visit my website. I partner with Greek Super Herbs by Eleftheria. You can add citrus. Squeeze a lemon or orange, brightens flavor and supports digestion. It's nature's cleanser. And then finish with nuts and seeds. Walnuts, almonds, sesame, flax. Just sprinkle it on your dish or just enjoy it as a snack. They're going to nourish the brain, the heart, the spirit. Yeah, not complicated, right? It's just wisdom, ancient wisdom in your bowl. So as Vata rises, right, that erratic, cold, dry air, right? Cold, dry, unpredictable. We want to turn to warmth and grounding. So here's a little meal plan for that time of year, right? Fall, winter. So for breakfast, you could put together a warm farro porridge with toasted nuts, cinnamon, and ethically harvested honey. For lunch, you can make some stuffed cabbage rolls and make something like a a what I call like an egg lemon sauce on top, but it's vegan, completely vegan with made with tahini and lemon and some other ingredients. Um, and then you could stuff those with lentils and rice. Dinner, some baked sweet potatoes with olive oil. And this is the time of year that you don't have to skimp out with that olive oil and tahini, very grounding, right? And then your snack, you can get a plant-based yogurt with some toasted nuts and stewed fruit. Apples are wonderful for this time of year. So this plan's going to bring you moisture, warmth, stability to balance the season's winds. Then we move into spring, damp, right? Heavy, remember? Earth, kapha season. We want to clear out and we want to lighten up. And so here's a little plan. You can start your day with a warming herbal tea made from fresh mint and a squeeze of lemon. It's a really refreshing, soothing way to wake up the digestive system, balance kapha, and hydrate the body with, yeah, nature's cooling and detoxifying properties. And then we move into lunch, and you can make a bowl of lentil veggie soup. This has some lentils, carrots, onions, generous. Well, here you want to lighten up on the olive oil. It's already very heavy time of year. Lentils are a staple in Greek cooking, but are grounding yet light, providing just like enough steady energy. And this soup is a wonderful way to nourish the body with seasonal veggies while keeping it light for spring. And then dinner, you could do a hearty chickpea veggie stew with those forage wild greens, right? Think dandelions, stinging nettles. These ingredients that grow abundantly in Greece in spring, but we have access to some of these here in the US. So this stew is both nourishing and it's cleansing, and it's going to offer a balance of protein from the chickpeas and then that earthy flavor from the greens. With the addition of the olive oil, that's going to help lubricate the body, promote digestion, and then, of course, your overall health. And if you're looking to snack on something, you can maybe toss some warming spices on almonds and roast them or toast them. Spices like cinnamon and cayenne, these nuts are going to provide you energy while the spices are going to stimulate your digestion, right? So it's just balancing the springtime heaviness. So what do these meals do? They're going to invite clarity, lightness, and renewed sense of movement, which is what we need during that heavy, sluggish time of year. And then we get to summer, my favorite time of year. And in the heat of summer, we want light, cooling, and hydrating foods. So this is a little meal plan I put together for you. You could start your day with some iced mountain tea. So this is our traditional Greek herbal tea. It has really fragrant flowers of wild Greek mountain tea. This is really cooling. It's also anti-inflammatory, and I find it really great to drink during those really hot summer days. Adding a touch of lemon, basil helps to further refresh the body while it's going to balance out the heat of summer. It's beautiful. It's a simple way to hydrate and also promote mental clarity. Lunch, we move into one of my favorite dishes, a traditional stuffed tomato or tomatoes. Que me está tomates. Tomatoes are abundant in summer and deeply connected to Greek tradition. Um, and tomatoes in Ayurvedic tradition can be very heating. So we balance it by stuffing them with light herb infused uh, rice. Quinoa is great rather than meat. And then add olive oil to soothe the digestion. So the stuffing is going to help provide grounding energy without being overly heavy, and then allowing the body to stay light and fresh during this time of year. And then for dinner, a light and refreshing cucumber and tomato salad. You can dress it with some olive oil, lemon, plant-based feta. This dish is true to a Greek classic. It is simple, it is satisfying, it is a go-to for me. And the cucumbers are key in cooling down the body. The lemon's going to help with your digestion, and then the feta just adds a light protein component. And then that olive oil is going to add lubrication for the joints. It's going to promote healthy skin, and that's especially important during the hot summer months. And then for a snack, I really love fresh seasonal fruit. This is a great time of year to introduce raw foods because our digestion is at its highest, like watermelon, berries. You could top it with sprinkled mint, These fruits are really hydrating. It is a fantastic natural way to cool off the body, which makes it a great summer snack. The mint is going to further support your digestion, making this even more refreshing, rejuvenating, and yeah, it's just a beautiful treat for those warm days. So, yeah, these meals cool the body while keeping the energy light and steady. And so, our last question, let's ground this into something practical and doable. What's one small shift you could make this week? Maybe it's adding a handful of wild greens to your lunch. Maybe it's drinking a cup of tea before your day begins. Um, it doesn't have to be something big. The idea is just to make it intentional, right? Small steps build lasting rhythm. So I'm going to leave us here for a moment so you can reflect. Feel free to write it down, make some mental notes. Leave this here for a moment. In the villages of Greece, cooking was a slow ritual. It was cooked with care from the fields to the table. And my ancestors knew food was a gift. They knew that it was a way to nourish, connect, and pass down that wisdom. So, cooking with intention, that means slowing down, being present, and infusing your food with love and gratitude. And this is the ritual we carry forward today. So, how do we cook with intention, right? In our everyday practices. So, one of those ways is slowing down, right? Taking your time. Let cooking be a meditation. And then there's engaging your senses, allowing yourself to feel, to smell, and listen to your food. And then, of course, using seasonal ingredients, honoring what the earth is offering here and now. And the next is generous amounts of olive oil, right? Cook, dress, drizzle, use it with purpose. And then sharing your meals. Invite others into the experience with you. There's nothing better than doing that. And then finally, gratitude, giving thanks, right? Pausing in gratitude for the ingredients, for the land, for those that cultivated it, and for the lineage. And so next we're going to move into a demo that was pre-recorded. Dandelion greens, the way my yaya made them. My yaya always made dandelion greens when I visited her, and boiled, drizzled with olive oil and lemon, and then sprinkled with sea salt. It was simple, earthy, perfect. It was her favorite dish. In Greece, dandelions are food. Here, I find that people view them as weeds. I go for walks around my neighborhood and I see them growing everywhere. And I wish that I can pick them, but they're on the road. So I don't know what they've been exposed to. But when you go to Greece and you go to the mountains, they're growing everywhere and you can harvest them and eat them. And it's such a beautiful thing. They're really treasured. They're grown wild and they grow with deep nourishment. And when you eat them, it allows your liver to detox, to cleanse. And it's a beautiful light dish to have, especially right now during the spring season. So I'll walk you through how she prepared them. And my mom is helping me, and she'll share a short little story about when she went with my grandmother into the fields as a little girl to go harvest dandelion greens together. So yeah, we'll walk you through how she prepared them, and then you could bring this seasonal ancestral practice into your own kitchen. Stay with us because I have a nice little treat and gift for you right afterwards. So stay tuned. There we go. All right. So first things first, and we'll talk a little bit about what my mom remembers from their village growing up. But yeah, we have our dandelion greens here, and this is just one bundle, but you can always do two if there's more people. But this will cook down quite a bit.
It'll cook down a lot. So if you have two or three people coming, assume that you're going to need one bunch per person because that's how much down it cooks. Okay.
Yeah. And so it's so funny when we would go visit my grandmother, she would tell us, "Don't forget to pick up some dandelion greens," because we couldn't come to the house without them. So my mom's going to demonstrate over here how to cut the dandelion green stems, which you don't have to always do. Sometimes they come perfectly. You could just throw them right into the water.
So the important thing is that when you are shopping for dandelions, I want you to look at them. They really shouldn't be more than about 10 to 11 inches tall because anything taller will be very tough. Okay. So these are just about, I'd say about 10 inches long. Okay. So you're going to rinse them off completely because they do come with a little bit of dirt on them. It's natural. Make sure you wash them off completely and then wash them again, at least two or three times. What I normally do is if I'm going to cook them immediately, I cut off about an inch off the bottom. That's just me. If you're going to take them home and cook them the following day, again, cut off about an inch and put them in a like a glass, a cup of water, almost like a bouquet. This way they'll sit nice and they won't get all wilted. Okay, so you cut off a little bit at the bottom. That's it. You want to use almost everything on this particular green. It's quite healthy. A lot of the vitamins really, really, I understand, sit at the stem, so you don't want to lose a lot of that. So once you've done that, you don't have to cut them anymore. You could put them in whole. All right, it's like spaghetti in
Yeah, it's
Italy.
it's like
Okay.
green spaghetti. Also, a little dirt doesn't hurt, right?
No, no, dirt doesn't hurt. It's
No.
good fiber.
Good fiber.
So we're going to put a little bit of salt in the water, okay? And if you prefer not to use salt, you can opt out of it. And then what we do is we sort of get the water boiling. The water's got to be really, really, really boiling, okay? Don't let this scare you. This will all start to cook up and will eventually become soft. Don't overcook them, okay? I would say
Like 20 minutes is a good amount of time.
maximum. Okay.
It's about all you need.
So you want to help them get into that water, okay? And have enough water in there, please. You don't want a little bit. I would fill it three-quarters of the way up. And then once it starts boiling, you want it to cover it, semi-cover it. Don't seal it. Leave a little bit of an opening on the side to let the steam out. And then once they're done, you'll see that they're really nice and soft. The color gets a little darker. Okay. So that's the cooking portion. All right.
Yeah, so that is the part where we put everything into the pot. Easy peasy, right? So once that's all done, and guys, it's so funny. I'm gonna just show you real quick. It cooks down into this
Yes.
little this little
So
bit.
this is the whole bunch that we just put in the pot. So what you want to do at this point, you're going to leave it alone. Don't cut it. Leave it whole. Okay. And we're going to push it around a little bit just to loosen it up a little bit.
So there's that liquid gold that we were talking about before,
Yeah.
our longevity.
So you want to use olive oil. Please, please use good olive oil.
High quality.
High quality. Um, the darker the color, some of the olive oil that comes right out of the first press almost looks like a very dark green, brownish color. That is excellent olive oil. So we're going to put this all over. Okay. My mom liked a lot of oil on hers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then,
Vale, vale.
yeah, vale, she would say, put. So, and then just kind of mix it around so the olive oil gets all over the place. And then in Greece, no house is without lemons, feta, and dandelions. So what you want,
But we're not doing feta in this webinar.
no, I know, but in general, but lemon, okay? That's all you need. So if you're not using salt, the lemon will give you the flavor, okay? And then you just squeeze it on as much as you want. And you want to use fresh lemon. Please never use bottled lemon. I don't think that that's just a great thing. Okay. And you mix them around. It may need a little more salt depending on your taste.
Yep.
Okay. Otherwise, they're ready.
That's it.
That's it. And this could be eaten with anything. You can even eat it, if you're having a dish and you want something real quick, this is it. This is so nutritious. And you can even eat it cold if you want, although warm might be a better way.
Well, this time of year, as we were talking before, we want to eat things that are warm and cooked. Yeah. And so during this time of year, you want to eat this warm. During the summer, this is excellent to eat cold. So and during different times of the year, you're gonna find different kinds of forage greens. During the winter, you might find something called vlita in Greece. During the spring, you're gonna find things like dandelion greens, horta, right? So before we transition over to the end of our webinar, do you want to share just a short, quick memory of collecting dandelion
Yeah.
greens in your village?
So the dandelions came about because we use just about everything. We lived off the earth, and dandelions would be something during the springtime. My mom would go out with her little tiny little switch knife, pulled it out, and I had it. I was probably around 5 or 6 years old. I was such a pain to her, but I wanted to go along. I wanted to find out how she was doing it, and we ended up in this field, and there was tons and tons of these. And the idea is to pick them before they flower. Once they flower, they're bitter. You can't really eat them. So she taught me how to go like in a semicircle around the dandelion as it was in the earth, and then cut it right at the top. In other words, don't pull it out. Don't damage the root because you want to have this again next year. So little by little, I learned. Yes, I made a few mistakes, but I didn't get scolded. She just looked at it and she says, "Well, we'll figure out what to do with that
Yeah.
one." Yeah.
She was very big on honoring the earth, and I remember one of our last trips to Greece, we were picking bay leaves from one of the trees in our village, and she said something along the lines of like, "Don't take more than you need." And I think that that was a really beautiful piece of advice that all of us can carry with us, not just in what we are. Especially how our relationship to Earth, but in other areas of our life as well. So, yeah, just that little bit of wisdom passed down from Yaya Yanula.
And also, what was the first thing she would say to you when you walked into the house?
What do you want to eat? Are you hungry? And I wasn't always hungry, but it didn't matter because she still had food to feed me. So I hope you enjoyed that cooking demo with my mother and I, and that you take that with you throughout this season or any time of year when this beautiful forage green is available to you. This dish not only reminds me of my grandmother, but reminds me of our way of life in Greece, that these experiences, these traditions are what inspired what I'm about to share with you. And I want to share with you something deeply personal. If you felt a longing to truly reconnect, perhaps it's to your roots, your food, your rhythm, this is for you. So this September, I'm hosting a 5-day retreat in the Mani Peninsula of southern Greece. Greece, my family's homeland. It's where I go to remember, and now I want to bring you with me. So, yeah, this is where we'll cook and we'll eat and all of these delicious things. But really, more importantly, this is a return. It's a return to nature, to land, to the ancestral wisdom that still lives in the soil and the kitchen. And so, yeah, we're going to cook together. We're going to eat together. We're going to enjoy wild herbs. We may even learn from a yaya in her own home and close off with a sound bath in our village villa. This retreat is an opportunity for you to slow down and let the land nourish you. So this retreat is for you if you're craving a slower, more rooted way of being. If you want to cook and live in rhythm with nature, if you feel the pull to connect with your food, your body, and something older than just words. We'll be a small group, but that group is going to be so intentional, like a traveling hearth. Whether you're plant-based, plant curious, or just like simply soul hungry, you're welcome on this retreat. So as a thank you for joining today's webinar, I'm offering you $200 off your retreat ticket. This is your gift for showing up with an open heart. Payment plans are available, and I'm happy to work with what feels accessible to you and for you. Um, yeah, if you're feeling called but still have questions, I'd be more than happy to connect. You could book a discovery call with me. Let's connect. I'd love, love, love to offer you um, an experience that feels right for you. So visit my website to reserve your spot or reach out directly to book a time to chat. Yeah, let's go to Greece and let's go to Greece together. Thank you so much for being a part of today's webinar. May this be the beginning of a deeper journey for you, your kitchen, and for your spirit. Thanks so much.